You'll also notice I kind of touch it whenever it's still a little hot. It's because there's extra flux on there. I'll wipe it off. Now, I'm pretty used to heat. Years of working fast food and all that. Don't hurt yourself. Be careful. If you need to use something, you could probably just get a little small container with some of that alcohol mixture in there. Swoosh it around maybe. I don't know. You don't want to touch that any more than you have to because it will dry your skin out hardcore. But you know, it's just an alternative for you. You could even use a Q-tip on it. I don't know. Figure it out. Or yeah, paper towel. There's an idea. Use a paper towel. Put some of that on there and rub it off. Me personally, I don't care. So, there's our Neopixel module. Now one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a slight bend, a little 90-degree bend. I'm going to twist the data and negative together because the positive has a tendency to deliver static to the data. So you want to keep it separated as much as possible. So if you've never braided hair before, say if you braided wires now, you know, you can even go a step farther than I am here. You can even get a cordless drill, put both in there and twist it up, and use like a heat gun to secure it even more. But I've always had good results just from doing that alone. If my hot glue gun's warmed up yet. Yep. So that's good to go. So let's go ahead and get this on there. It's a really nice, solid friction fit. I love it. Also put some music on this playlist that I'll get to listen to. So, just kind of took a small preview and I really liked it. So like, yeah, that'll be good for the video. Might as well. I'm not really big into video editing. Haven't learned how to do it. Haven't taken the time to do it. So you're getting it all live action here. Make sure this is nice and tight. Let's get some hot glue on these to prevent any future damage to them. I think this could have warmed up a little bit longer. Oh, no, there it goes. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Then you are lost. Alright, so here we have our Neopixel module all set. You could probably even use a small dab of Loctite on this, on the PCB right there, or not the PCB, but the Delrin holder to secure it even more. But I feel confident that it should be fine. Actually, now I say that, I'm just going to use a little hot glue around the edges because hot glue is easy to remove, especially from objects like this. And this will protect it even more. The guy this is going to says he doesn't really use these for dueling. Perfectly fine by me. So, go ahead and get this in there. Whoa. It's poking out just a tad. That's one thing you really want to look out for in these hilts too. A lot of the manufacturers don't. There might be like a little bit of a metal jutting out from where they drilled and tapped it. You might have to take a file or a Dremel and just kind of smooth it out a little bit, or else it might not fit. Let's just try to get this flush against that collar. Sink it in a little bit more. Actually, that might be a little too tight. So, There it is, tight. We're going to do another half turn. There we go. So, you can see it's not going anywhere. It's in there. It's solid. I think that's actually going to be the last time I have to use this. Oh well. It's fine by me. I'm going to set that off to the side for now. Next up is going to be the switch. Actually, I'm going to use the, let's see, I will be needing a flathead for this. I'm going to do the recharge port first, because whenever you mount these, it's going to be a lot easier to get the nut on here and tighten it down with the flathead than it's going to be to start with the switch, because you got a lot less meat right there. You can actually get it started with your finger, but I'll of course want it tighter. Set that off to the side too. So, what I'm going to do is get my recharge port, get this bad boy soldered up. Now, for the switch and this, I probably will go through hole. So, let's do another measurement. It's going to have to go down to, let's see here, you got to think. You want to use the positive on the kill switch instead of the negative. So, I'm going to bring 2 of these down. One of these is going to go to the battery, and one of them is going to go to the kill switch. Correct? Looking at the wiring diagram, because I know the kill switch will be going to the board. Yes, that will all be connected. Going to there. Yes, so we'll need 2. Well, see, got to measure. 1. Let's make sure this is long enough. Oh yeah, definitely. Got 2 positives. Now usually what you'll want to do is you'll want to use a different color wire for the board negative. So for instance, you could do like a blue 22 gauge or something like that. I don't have one on hand, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be careful. In case any of y'all are wondering, all the wire that I get is from Remington. They're very well priced. They have really good wire. I like them. Haven't heard any bad things. Had none but good results, so why not? Now, one thing I will do to discern which negative is which is I will twist the positive and negative going to the board. Battery negative and positive will be left alone. Now, I'm going to strip some extra length off of this positive, because I'm going to twist these together and stick them through the hole. I might need more length than that too. No, pretty good. Needle nose to get it just a little bit better. Now, one thing I've learned for through hole is, let's see if this even fits. It's pretty big. It fits more or less. One thing I've been doing is I'll actually, before I even pre-tin the wire, get a little bit of flux on the wire, and then I'll stick it in and then apply solder. Just something I've been trying out. It's all about experimenting. since this is so thick, I can actually hold both at the same time. There we go. So as you can see, needs a little bit of cleanup. That's what these are for. Clink. And I'm going to wait to clean it up until after I get the other two negatives on there. What I'm also going to do is use heat shrink, this heat shrink in particular, get it on there, solder it, and give it a nice bend afterwards too. Just turn this around a little bit. I'm telling you, this pan of ice is like the best thing ever. Do this length just a little bit longer. And the same method as with the positive. Except this one won't be able to sit in there. So what I'm going to do, stick it in there, apply the solder. You see, it turned out really well. Just a small nub on there, which is just fine. Might be a little bit too long on the board negative, but I'll deal with that if it's too long or not. Oh, see, I almost messed up right there. You really got to pay attention. You really do. So that's a bit long. Snip that off. So here's our recharge port wired. You could think of this as an all-inclusive video. Fast forward to the point you want. Mark it on your calendars. And look, I made a mess. And as always, paper towels are useful to have around. Stuff's pretty cheap anyway, so, you know. So, now we want our heat shrink. I want it about that length. So, I'll just use my little template here that I just created 2 seconds ago. Create them all about the same length. I love it whenever the heat shrink has little wording on it, then I can use that too as a kind of reference point. This heat shrink I got off of Amazon, and it came in a nice little baggie, whole bunch of it. I've bought plenty of kits before, but I find the 2mm heat shrink to be one of the most useful ones to have. I like the kit too. It gives me a lot of variety. And variety is the spice of life, is it not? Now, I've seen a lot of people use either a soldering iron or a lighter or anything like that for a heat shrink. Me, well, you can also use, I guess, a hair dryer. I've never tried it. I'm going to assume that you can, but in a low setting, wait for it to get warmed up a little bit. And we're good. Like I said earlier, I'm going to twist up the board negative and the board positive, which technically the other positive will be going to the kill switch, but, you know, that'll eventually go to the board. I'm going to leave the other two loose, that way I know those are for the battery. Trust me, there's a reason I do this, because I've fried a few audio amplifiers. Had to send it to one of 2 guys to get it repaired, both of which super nice, super helpful. So now we're just going to feed our wires down in there. I've always kind of been goofy about recharge ports such as this because it's off-center. I always want to get it on the bottom, you know? I'll show you what I mean. I've also learned that leaving it loose like that makes it easier to get the threads started. You're not fighting against the pressure of it being, the wires being pushed against anything. Just going to slide it on down there. This is going to be a part that you're just going to have to imagine what I'm doing. I can't really show you this. Let me get it started with my finger. You gotta finger it out, you know? Flathead to tighten it. Good and tight. So that's what I mean by having it perfectly vertical to the bottom. I don't know, it's just a little OCD thing, but you can see, possibly. I don't know how well it's going to look, but, you know, it's tight. It's not going anywhere. That's what we want. Some people use, you know, E6000 around the edge and use that to adhere it, or hot glue. You know, I'm going to do this. That's what I've done for all these years. It should be fine. All these 2 years. Now, the momentary switches next. I recently had somebody ask me about switches. You know, clearly they were new to the hobby, didn't really want to admit it. It's kind of like, okay, that's fine, whatever. So he was wondering about positives and negatives to the switch. There's no such thing. So literally just 2 wires going to a normally open contact. Press it, it closes the contact. There's no polarity. It's similar to a speaker. A lot of speakers you'll find will have a red mark on it designating the positive. It does not count in this situation. There's no polarity whatsoever. So you can just solder your little heart out. White hot. Looks like I'm about out of white. I do like Remington for that as well. They have these little kits with multiple wires, you know. There's also TCSS, which is actually even cheaper price-wise for wire. I highly recommend their stuff as well. There's a lot of good saber companies out there. Custom Saber Shop, Saber Armory, some of the best stuff. Hold on a second here. Alright. I'm also going to go through a hole on this as well. And use heat shrink. So I'm going to make this a little bit longer. Got some 28 gauge white here. With the flux on it. Help it flow a little better. I'm actually going to go probably from the inside. Yeah, that looks good. I can actually kind of show you this on video, unless my thumb's blocking you. Oh, solder's hanging down. There we go. Want the solder hanging up. What the hell are you doing, solder? Get it together, mate. Easy as that. Soldering 101 with A&W Saber Services. Woot woot. Do a Fortnite dance. I'm sure there's some young kids watching this. I'm not going to show you on this one just so I can focus. This switch I actually got from AliExpress. Takes a lot longer to get, but well, I was going to knock that over at some point. Did it anyway. AliExpress does take quite a bit of time to get, and it's coming from China, so if you're worried about the coronavirus. Sorry, too soon? I digress. Anyways, Get a little bit of cleaner on here. Just gonna go the extra step and brush it off. As I've been telling my coworker, it's a joke by the way, from the movie called Waiting. The difference in between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Isn't that goofy? So, yeah. Don't judge me. Just a bunch of guys being goofy. So the little extra would be the toothbrush, right? Yes. So we'll get our heat shrink on there. I could probably even use a smaller heat shrink, probably 1 millimeter diameter. So now that we got the heat shrink shrunk, I'm going to twist these wires up. Give it some strain relief over time. I always go left over right. It's honestly probably just a hand thing. You know, maybe if you're left-handed, maybe you go the other way. It doesn't matter. I've noticed with Sabre Essential bass speakers, for example, those are always twisted right over left. So maybe they're all left-handed there. Either way, I love their speakers. A little extra twist on there. Beautiful braid. And you know, even for this one, I could, since it's kind of getting a little congested with those wires, I'm going to feed it through the top instead and just do it that way. Bezel, mounts. Now what I'll do, while it's still loose, I'm just going to feed the wire through the bottom while holding the switch. Beautiful. Just kind of wiggle it on there. Come on. Right on there, buddy. There we go. Oh, that was so smooth. That's nice. I like it when components work with me. So now we have our switch and our recharge port. What I will recommend here, considering I'm using a removable battery, it's not really that big of a deal, but what I will recommend, get you a kill key, slap it in there. Might as well. Now would actually be a great time to use a multimeter. If you have a multimeter, you're ahead of the game. If you don't, you need to get one. Because it is one of the most useful tools when dealing with electronics. And the function you want to look out for the most is, this is a $10 Craftsman from Sears before they close. What you want to look out for the most is that one with the little sonar indicator. That is a continuity tester. So whenever you have continuity, it beeps. It's very, 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 very useful to have. I cannot say very enough on that one. And how it's useful here is testing to make sure that the negative is wired properly. And that, or actually really that the component is functioning properly. So you see it's not beeping. Remove the kill key. I'll also be using this before we solder to the board to test to make sure the power wiring is correct. I'll also show you this for the switch. Same function. Good way to test your switches. Make sure that they're not faulty upon arrival. And this is super small, so hoping these alligator clips bite. Yeah, so every time I press it, you get continuity. That's what you want. Turn it off. We're done with that for now. How are we doing on time? Okay, so 24 minutes in? Wow, making good progress. I have about 3 hours recording time on that, so Plenty of time. Drink break. Now, probably what I'm going to do next is get the speaker installed, because it will require adhesive around here to get it setting. Now, the kill switch you don't have to worry about adhering because it's just going to sit in there, you know. Yeah, I'm going to go and do the speaker. Like I said earlier, there's no polarity on